Explore the life of one of the most important.
Have you ever been called a mean name?
I want to tell you about Camp Youth. The year.
I'm Reed. Welcome to Canada's History Through the Eyes of Young Citizens. Today we have films created by young Manitoba filmmakers. These films were chosen by community heritage fairs across Manitoba. They reflect on Canadian heroes and key events through Canada's history. First, a video from Amber that shows us what would happen if Winnipeg got invaded by the Nazis.
What if the war came to Winnipeg? In the midst of World War II, the Nazis marched through many peaceful countries. Here in Canada, people couldn't help but think, what if they came here next? A wealthy businessman by the name of Jean Draper Perrin arranged for If Day. Initially, he wanted to scare people into buying victory bonds, which were loans to the federal government for increased war spending. Before the event occurred, many local newspapers publicized on it to prevent panic. However, I'm sure there was at least one person who didn't get the memo. I wonder how surprised they were. Early in the morning of February 19, 1942, the fake Nazis, who were volunteers, got ready to invade our city. The defenders, who were army members and local community groups, formed a perimeter around downtown. Around 7 a.m., things got really heated when a fake Nazi plane dropped fake bombs. But don't you worry, the defenders used fake anti-aircraft guns to fire at the planes. The first mock casualty was reported close to 8 a.m. A fun fact about If Day is that there were actually two real injuries. A man sprained his ankle, and a woman cut her thumb while making breakfast. Later that morning, Winnipeg was forced to surrender to the Nazis. Shortly after that, the Nazis rounded up the local politicians Premier John Baker, Mayor John Queen, and Manitoba's Lieutenant Governor Roland Baron McWilliams, and took them to prison camps. Soon after this, Winnipeg was put under a strict curfew, and the Nazis took over Winnipeg. They attacked Henry Welpler, a newspaper seller, and ripped up his papers. They renamed the Winnipeg Tribune, which is another local newspaper. They called it Das Winnipegger Lügenblatt, which means the Winnipeg Lies Sheet. They burned books right in front of the Winnipeg Public Library, and at one school, the principal was arrested and was replaced with one of their own instructors who taught the Nazi truth. In fact, all of the high schools were forced to learn a special lesson. Even though If Day only lasted one day, the Nazis went as far as to replace our money with fake German Reichsmarks. If Day concluded at 5:30 p.m., with the prisoners being released, a parade, and speeches. Members of the organizing committee marched down Portage Avenue with banners saying, "It must not happen here," and "Buy victory bonds." If Day was a very successful event, as it raised over $3 million and caught the attention of more than 40 million people. Although it is very important for us not to forget about If Day, not just because it was part of our heritage, but because it was and still is many people's reality.
Welcome back to Young Citizens. Now we have a video from JM about the importance of deaf education in Canada. Listen up. Deaf education in Canada.
Schools for the deaf currently in Canada, and what year they reopened after World War II. In 1955, Alberta School for the Deaf opened in Edmonton, Alberta. In 1963, E.C. Drury School for the Deaf opened in Milton, Ontario. In 1964, Mackay Centre School opened in Montreal, Quebec. In 1965, Manitoba School for the Deaf opened in Winnipeg, Manitoba. In 1974, Roberts School for the Deaf opened in London, Ontario. Sir James Whitney School for the Deaf also opened in 1974. It opened in Belleville, Ontario. In 1993, British Columbia School for the Deaf opened in Burnaby, British Columbia. Deaf students. Which school is better for a deaf student? A public school with all hearing students or a specialized deaf school? Based on my interviews and my research, it is better for a deaf student to go to a specialized deaf school. I hope that after watching my video, all Canadians feel proud of their great country, which is inclusive to all people.
I'm here with JM. So, why is it important for people to learn about deaf education?
Well, as hearing children are sent to hearing schools, they speak either English or French, and they have a comfortable atmosphere. And I feel that deaf students should have that opportunity as well.
How is deaf education perceived now?
Deaf education is very equal and inclusive to Canada, and there are many technologies and things to help deaf students get a better education.
Thank you, Jam. We'll be right back after this.